The thing about sports card collecting is there's so many different paths you can take as a collector. What do you want to focus on? Do you want autographs? Do you want graded cards? Are you looking for high-end grades? Are you looking for just owning the card? Do you want cards that represent your childhood or memories that you have as a young person watching sports or different sports teams or players? Do you want Hall of Famers? Do you want to collect based on team? Do you want to set collect? There's so many different approaches that you can take in the hobby, and something that I think all of us struggle with but also enjoy is the aspect of sorting through the various different approaches that we could take and settling in on what do I actually want to focus on as a collector. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 6 cards that represent my collection better than any others. Stick around.
It's a long fly ball deep to right. Way back! It's gone! Home run! How about that?
Boom! Laka-laka!
Marino was right on target. We are live from the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. There's a sellout crowd, of course.
Oh, did you just call it? And he does!
Welcome back to Base is Beautiful. My name is MD, and today I want to talk about my particular focus in card collecting. You look at this odd collection of cards, and it doesn't look to be a whole lot of rhyme or reason here, but I've chosen these 6 cards specifically because to me they encapsulate and describe my collection. So I think the first thing to say is that I'm an Angels fan. I love Mike Trout. I particularly love this portrait of Mike Trout from, I believe this is 2022. Yeah, 2022 Topps Gallery. They don't make the gallery photos anymore. But I just think that's such a striking portrait of Mike. And there's a rainbow foil version and, the other parallels. But, we are Base is Beautiful here, so I've got the base card of Mike there. Now, I'm collecting a lot of Mike Trout cards, and a lot of them are graded. It's hard to find this one graded, especially in the base version. I've yet to even see that one available anywhere for sale. So my ongoing concept is to get some of these cards and eventually convert them into graded cards. I do really love graded cards. I love the way that they look in a holder. So even though I've got some ungraded cards here, that doesn't mean that I'm not pursuing graded cards, but it also means that I'm not disparaging that of ungraded cards either. This card of David Justice just makes me think of my childhood growing up. I lived in Mississippi, and when I got into baseball, of course at that point you had TBS on cable, and you could watch the Atlanta Braves every game because they were owned by Ted Turner, and he also owned the cable station TBS, and so I could watch every single Braves game. And David Justice was a favorite player of mine, and I got to watch those early 90s Braves teams. Of course, if there's one team that you're going to be able to watch all their games, the 90s Braves are certainly a good one. And so I love this 92 score set. I'm in the process of collecting autographs on, I will say, all of those cards. I know there's 900 cards in that set, and that's a tall order to collect, even for junk wax collecting, where a lot of the cards can be gained very cheap, you know, $1, $2, or sometimes even less if you catch the right eBay listing. But it's a long project and ongoing, but I was very happy to pick up that Dave Justice because Braves, 90s, 92 score, I mean, that's my childhood in a nutshell. I have this Don Shula autograph card here because although I grew up watching baseball, and I did not care for football really at all until really only a few years ago is when I've gotten into football. But connecting with football and finding two teams to really focus on, and the Miami Dolphins and the Chicago Bears. And so obviously I'm a fan of autographs. You can see I've got 3 autograph cards here. And part of what I love about autographs is it just gives that personal touch of the player, or in this case, a head coach who signed the card. I love this one because you get Don Shula with that jumpsuit jacket, the windbreaker there with the old man trucker cap and the big sunglasses, just looking like Southern Florida. That's awesome. And the NFL Pro set was great for those kinds of photos. And so I love getting autographs on that set in particular for the NFL because they also featured the head coaches a lot. And so that's the other reason that I've got Don Shula here. I love coach and manager cards. It's something that they don't do in the hobby anymore. They're not producing new coach cards. Panini Prism's not putting out parallels of Mike McDaniel or Andy Reid or anything like that. And Topps is not producing, manager cards for all the different MLB teams. But I love that. I love the throwback aspect of it. I love collecting, especially autographs of the coaches or managers on those cards. And so Don Shula there's representing that part of my collection. Well, this is obviously NonSports. This is one of my movie cards. It is signed by Matthew Demerit. He was the actor who was in the suit for E.T. So when you get those shots in E.T. where you see the full body of E.T. walking around, not the close-up. Like this probably wouldn't have even had Matthew Demerit in it because this is a close-up shot that would have had the puppeteer moving the eyes and mouth and neck. But in the full body shots of E.T., Matthew Demerit would have been filling that bodysuit. And I found that on eBay. He signed it in blue ink, which color matches the blue star border. And I now have a little collection going of autographs from the actors of E.T. And so that represents that part of the collection, as well as just overall a desire to incorporate non-sports into my collecting. I really like movie cards. If you saw my video on the Close Encounters pack rip that I did, you know that movie cards are important to me. They were a part of my connection with the hobby, even though I didn't really connect them with the hobby so much as a kid growing up. I didn't treat my movie cards the way that I would put penny sleeves and even plastic top loaders for prized cards in my baseball card collection. I didn't treat my movie cards that way. Of course, most of the movie cards that I ever owned are even more worthless than the junk wax sports cards that I had at the time. But be that as it may, collecting non-sports cards and finding graded versions of those cards to represent different movies that I like and that got a card release is something that I wanted to highlight in my collection. So that's why I'm including that one in this little setup here. '66 Philadelphia, Mike Ditka. All right, so I first learned about this card from watching Midlife Sports Cards and Greg on that, going to a card show. This was probably a year and a half ago. And he was looking through some old football cards, and he saw this one and was trying to, and I think he ended up buying it. But this is what made me fall in love with vintage football. Just this look right here. I mean, I don't know that you can get any more quintessential football player look than Mike Ditka on this card. And so that's part of why I love it. I bought this early. This was the first vintage football card that I purchased for my collection. A lot of people have far more extensive collections than I do. I've only been collecting for 2 years, and really I've that first year is a bit of a mulligan year. You're getting back into the hobby. You're finding stuff that you used to have when you were a kid, and, you don't really know what you're doing. But I've kind of gotten my legs under me a little bit. I've figured out what I'm interested in pursuing. And so, I probably only have about, 10 or 12, maybe, vintage football cards. But even though that one's a 3, I love this card, and I love Mike Ditka as a player, as I've looked into him and appreciated him. And so that aspect of my collection is represented there. And last is Rod Carew and 1981 Donruss. Now, there are 2 reasons for this. One, I love Rod Carew as a player. Okay, so Rod Carew, obviously Hall of Fame baseball player, excellent hitter, and over 300 batting average for his career. I don't remember the number off the top of my head. At this point in his career, he was averaging 3.43. So, pretty awesome. I love that he's not a home run hitter. And that, to me, is part of what I love about baseball, is finding players who add value and interest and are the reason that, are the connective tissue really of teams and dependable. In the modern era, I love watching Luis Ariz play. Came up with the Twins, played with the Marlins for a year, now is with the Padres. Great player, a lot of similarities to Rod Carew in terms of his approach, just hard to get out. Always seems to hit the ball into a location where there is not a defender able to get it through defenders or get it over the top of them right into the gap. Anyway, that's baseball. I know it's so much featured around the power hitters, the home run hitters, the big flame-throwing pitchers and all of that now. But to me, Rod Carew encapsulates the simplicity of the sport and the essence of the sport, really. Home runs are awesome. Love seeing a great home run. Mike Trout's hit plenty of them. Of course, Dave Justice did too. But there's something to be said about a guy who's just a pain in the neck to get out when he comes to the plate. And those guys are just really endearing to me. And so Rod Carew specifically as a player is somebody that I wanted to collect once I kind of figured out that aspect of looking at Hall of Famers and who did I really connect with. And Rod Carew's one that I connected with. And so the reason I have this card specifically instead of like his, well, I don't have his rookie card. I've not yet been able to get his true rookie card, but his second-year card, which is 1968 Topps with the Gold Cup rookie on it. And it's a beautiful card. I love it. But this is my favorite portrait of Rod Carew. This 1981 set of Donruss. So Donruss, at this point, these cards are not particularly beloved, which makes me love them. Always tend toward the off the beaten path when it comes to a lot of movies that I've appreciated, sticking up for the movie that might have gotten maligned, things like that. I was on the Nicolas Cage train before he became cool to like, things like that. For me, I love the look of those 81 Donruss cards. I love the font choice there with the Angels. And all the team names. I love the simple framing design. Now, not all of the pictures are great photography in that set. You get a mixed bag. Some of those shots of players look too dark or too blurry or are just not the best choice. So it's a mixed bag. I'm collecting that set autographed as well as the 92. So the 81 Donruss, 92 score, those are the ones that I'm collecting, the full sets autographed. And I do have Rod Carew's autograph on that card, actually. But I wanted just the true card because I love that portrait of Rod Carew. He's got a great smile. And that's a great portrait of him, just plain blue background, looking directly at the camera. And it's just a beautiful portrait of a great ball player. And I love having it in this collection. So that I guess is my approach, my focus. That kind of represents each of the different facets of my collection. Of course, there's other facets to it too, but I've decided to not focus on basketball. I like some basketball cards, and there's probably a handful that I'll end up picking up just because I appreciate certain players and would like to have, like Larry Bird's rookie card. I'd love to have that one. But this really encapsulates my current thinking as a collector, what I want to focus on, how I'm approaching the hobby, different projects that I have, and just generally what I enjoy about my collection. So as non-exciting on paper as this bunch of cards would probably be to most people, when I see these 6 cards, I get super excited because I feel like this really is who I am as a collector and what I'm trying to get after and the kinds of cards that I'm pursuing. So hopefully that's of interest or benefit to somebody. If you're still early on in your collecting journey, just figure out what seems to really connect with you and resonate, and follow that through, whether or not it's the most popular thing or not. That's the fun thing about the hobby, is we don't all have to have a collection of Mickey Mantle cards in order to feel like we're true collectors. We could have an 81 Donruss Rod Carew and a PSA 9 and feel like man, that's one of my dream cards right there. And frankly, that card was only like $10. So it's not bad having some off the beaten path choices. And so anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.